Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good night, wherever you are. It's Michael Johnson .tv, streaming to you live tonight on 2022, September 8th. Going to share a few stories behind these photos you see on the screen. These are 5 photos that I've taken over the years, some of them from 2016, 2017, that have been on my wall here at home in the studio apartment. For a while and looking for a refresh, so I offered to give these away to some lucky friends and lucky souls. So I wanted to share a few more stories around these photos, just a little bit the context. So we'll start with this one. This was taken from a spot in Montreal that's really quite a unique spot, and I will show you where this is. Here we go. Not here, not here, not here. Sorry. This place here, this is an old terminal for like grain unloading in Montreal. If I zoom out, here's Montreal, and this is the old port area of Montreal, which was the old port where now there's the new port way over here with the big container ships, but back in the day, this is where they would unload grain and sugar and all these sort of materials and stuff like that. And this thing is still standing, and there was a 375th birthday party for Montreal, so they had a whole big setup here. They'd built up this sort of a long spit here, and people walk and people run in this area. And at the time, they had this thing set up with other like containers that were stacked up here, making a big wall. And they had light shows, projectors over here. You could sit here. There was like stadium seating, and they'd have these projection shows and stuff. It's really too bad that they took it all down, but our mentor really managed to get us this access. So we'd walk up these stairs, and actually inside there's a vertical conveyor belt where the workers would actually get on the conveyor belt and be, ferried up to the roof. But we managed to get on the roof of this structure, and this is the view that you get, yeah, of downtown Montreal. I mean, it was phenomenal. It was fantastic. You're on the roof here, sun is setting, beautiful sky, beautiful colors. You got all the buildings, you got the whole old port. And so what I did is I took the photo looking this way, and you'll see this is the big roue. It's the Grande Roue. It's a Ferris wheel attraction, and this is the Molson building here in the background that you'll also see, whoopsie, in the picture. So here's the Grande Roue and the Molson and the bridge in the back. So yeah, I'll go into the collection here, and what I'm doing in Lightroom is I have this photo in several collections, including this studio giveaway collection that I just created 5 minutes ago to gather up these photos. So here I know that this is the main collection from that day. So I'm going to go into that collection, go into grid mode, and then you can see these are I've got all of the bad and good photos. This is another one that I'll talk about a bit later, but you can kind of see the progression as I'm kind of changing up my composition. Again, this is a special building. Also, I've also been on the rooftop of this building, 360 Rue Saint-Jacques, I think it's called, which it's a beautiful old bank, and there's a co-working space inside. But again, this is the view of that evening, right, as the sun is setting, and I'll turn on the information here so we can see the settings. Looking, I mean, you're really in the golden hour, the blue hour, as the darkness is setting in and the lights of the buildings are picking up. There's a beautiful balance. So I kind of found this interesting composition. I'm okay. There's the wheel, the bridge, and the Molson. It's like looking good, looking nice. Kind of zooming in, trying different exposures. Here I am at 1.6 seconds, at f8. What I wanted was a long exposure. I knew I wanted to blur the wheel here, and I can get those lights going around and around. So I'm really trying to find a good long exposure, and I'm doing that by dropping the ISO and boosting up the F number so that I can manage to get a long exposure in the order of seconds. And I also had at the time a neutral density filter with me, so that allows you to get, again, even longer exposures to blur things and use that in landscape photos and stuff like that. But here I am, and this is kind of underexposed, so I knew I'd had a bit more room, so I went to 3 seconds, f8, ISO 200, playing with the composition. Don't know what I did here. 3 seconds. 3 seconds. This one looks a lot more blurry though for some reason, but I don't know what I did there. Anyway, 13 seconds, right? F11, ISO 100. Now we're getting a good blur. But imagine you press the trigger on your camera, wait 11 seconds, 13 seconds to get your photo out the other end. I mean, that's what I did. And then I kind of zoomed in a bit more. Here I am limited up to 200 millimeters, only at about 130 millimeters. I didn't have my Canon of a lens quite yet. Then I found this composition and I'm in develop mode. So here I've worked up the colors and the clarity and the brightness and all that. And the final exposure was 8 seconds, f11 ISO 100. And that was the original. So, we can see all the modifications that I did in terms of white balance and color temperature and exposure and lens profile and contrast and shadow and bringing in some clarity, really adjusting that, adjusting the highlights, and then exporting it. And what was cool to see at the end was actually these things here. This was the most magical thing that I love about this photo is discovering these projections here. This was again the 375th anniversary of Montreal, and there was all kinds of artistic and cultural and creative events. So this is organized by one of these sort of immersive entertainment production studios that are prevalent in Montreal. A lot of that cultural stuff is developed here. They're actually projecting these faces of famous people in Montreal throughout Montreal's history are being projected here onto this row of trees. So these are all faces of certain people. I don't know who, I don't remember, and I didn't notice it at the time, right? I didn't see that in the back of my camera. I didn't know that. I only found it later. I was like, thank goodness. I would have liked to have a bit more space at the bottom of the photo just to give them those faces a little bit of room to breathe. But it's kind of neat. It's magical to discover those faces. So, if you think of the composition, this is kind of, a strong point here at about 1/3. There's a bit of room to breathe here so your eye can kind of follow. And really there was a trick really at cutting off the bridge at its low point, so it kind of comes to rest here and then dies away. And that's the new port in the back there with the lights and the Molson building and YUL. And yeah, love this one. So again, here's where we were for that photo on the top of this silo here. And they're building a new one here. This is where the cruise ships come. And actually, this footage is pretty old. They're building a new big tower here, an observation tower, which should be nice. But it was so awesome to be outside here in the evening. It's a bit of a chilly evening, but it was beautiful, beautiful evening. So that was the first one, and I'll go so then I can go back to my collection of the studio giveaway, and we'll go to this one next because this one was taken at the same location as that one, from that silo installation. And what I love about this was, yeah, this is the City Hall, Montreal City Hall, was lit up in kind of a purple color on the outside, framed up against this big monolith, this block. This is the CHUM, the Centre Hospitalier Université de Montréal, the University of Montreal hospital complex, a fairly new construction, a big, big, big building. And this is in a little old building here. We were also on another year of the Vacances Photo. We were on the rooftop of this building. This is really the special sauce of this Vacances Photo that I love so much, is being on the rooftops in either the evening or the morning. So again, just magical seeing the facades of the buildings and the kind of the line, you follow the line of between the trees and the light here, and there's a road that goes up here, then you find the city hall. There's at least 3 or 4 rooftop terraces. Also, here's another one, a small private one here. There's probably a couple more somewhere. There's nice restaurants and stuff over here. But again, that was so magical. The blue hour, the golden hour. It's just a bit to see this bit of setting sun coming here, shining off the side of the Schum building. Such a magical spot that was really. So let me go back to the collection and just see where we were. Whoops, that was not what I wanted to do. This is another collection. Okay, you're getting to see a little bit other stuff here. We were in Vacances Photo. There we go. Yeah, again, this was around that time. So, right, trying to find a composition with buildings that have a place to sit, a place to land. It's a bit boring here. Too much crap on the bottom. Looking for the composition, looking for the composition really, and found it. See, I found something here. I'm like, okay, I'm vertical. It's a lot of sky. It's not that great. Okay, zoom out a bit, and then boom, found this one. So I just love this. Just the mix of sky, again, like room to breathe, room for the sky to shine, and room on the bottom for the sort of buildings to come to rest amongst the trees. And let's go back into develop mode and kind of just look quickly at where we came from. Didn't do much on it. Well, it looks like I did a lot on it actually. But yeah, just mostly working in the sky, it looks like. So yeah, importing some exposure, clarity, shadows, white balance, color temperature, adjusting. Oh, I did some brushing in here. I don't know exactly what I did there. More brushing, some contrast. Yeah, I think this is probably a mask that I have in there actually. Yeah, there's a mask for the sky here. That's what I'm doing. This is the mask for the sky, and I'm brushing in contrast in the sky to make the sky pop out. So that's what I was up to here. So happy that you'll get this on the wall. So let's go back to the collection and back to the original collection here, Studio Giveaway. Let's go to this one, more nature here. And yeah, again, photographing around near sunset, near sort of blue hour. We were out in nature, sun was setting, and I'll show you the location here. Back to the map. So again, this is kind of a typical map that you would see of Montreal, the island of Montreal. This is downtown over here. And just off island over here is Ganawage, the Indian Amérindien reservation. And just off island here, there's this refuge faunique, this island here, Ile Saint-Bernard. And it's an old residence of nuns, the Sœurs Grises, the nuns' residence here. And it's really just a park, just a nature reserve. So we spent quite a bit of the day walking around here on this path, and then in the evening, right, so it sets on the west. This is the western point of this. Along here, there's some sort of structures and some play areas and some beaches. So I think we were probably, it's this tree that we had. So we were kind of here on the beach looking out into the river with the tree there. So yeah, what I love about this is really the shape of this tree just arching over and kind of reaching, and you see all of the height of that tree. I mean, that's a big tree. So I'm really on a wide angle here in order to do that. So yeah, my Tokina at 11 millimeters, right? So really zoomed out and didn't do much processing on this one actually at all. Nothing at all really. That's interesting. No, this was an HDR. Sorry. So yeah, that's HDR means a blend, exposure blend. So I guess there was quite a little, some darkness here and some brighter stuff in the sky that I wanted to blend together. So we could take a look at that. But yeah, just a nice mix of the water, the sky. Got lucky in quotes, with a couple of birds in the frame because often it's not really about luck. It's about being ready, right? About getting this composition locked in, exposure locked in, and then waiting even and just, oh, there's some birds coming. Oh, looks like a good moment here. The birds are kind of in this zone. I don't remember if I did that or not on this particular occasion, but that is one technique that really works well. So let's jump back to the collection, the original collection, 2016. Yeah, August 22nd of 2016 is when I took that picture. Isn't that cool? So let's see the collection where we were. Oh my goodness. So these are, is it in a stack? It must be in a stack. Yeah. 5190 HDR. I don't know. I won't bother you with this right now, but we'll just go through a little bit around there, right? There was some nice stuff there, a rock, a rock next to the water, and then kind of the beautiful clouds. looking the other way, and then ooh, then I found this, and I was a bit too low. The rock was kind of in the way, so then found this composition, and probably did a couple of them. Just some small adjustments there, and then this was the final HDR result. And maybe I'd done it based on a blend of these two images if I needed to get a bit more signal in the really, really dark regions there. So, and then kept on playing. At some point, I'm planning to kind of do a retrospective of go reprocess some of these entire days of images another time. That's for another live stream. So let's go back to the studio giveaway. Take a look at this one again. Yeah, what I love is just, yeah, you can just imagine you're walking on this path and just you can just hear the grass sort of rustling and the waves coming up and just the birds crying and just this mangled gnarly tree that's just arching over in all of its branches, and you can just see all the light and shadow and just the detail on its branches. I just love that. So that's that one, that one, that one. Now this one, it looks a bit different because I don't have the processing the way that my mentor who did the printing of this photo managed to recover, get rid of some of this brownish tint here, but it gives you kind of the spirit of this waterfall, all this water churning in the background, freezing on here, making these big icicles. So I'll show you where this one was taken, and that's at the Chute d'Orwin in Rawdon, here in Rawdon. Here's Montreal. Drive north and east, and here you are at the Chute d'Orwin. And it's really this river that winds its way down. A little bit of rapids starting here, come down, and then there's really a waterfall here. So you park here, and you walk along this path, and then there's this staircase that brings you down to this observatory, this observation platform here. And we were in the middle of winter, right? This was like a winter photography workshop, which is really interesting. A whole other sort of complexities around lighting and color temperature and shadow and sun, and also we learned a fair bit about how to deal with gear. And it's okay for your gear to get cold. It's only once you bring it back inside in a warm place that you risk like forming condensation. So you can do a few things with that. You want to bring it back up to temperature slowly. And anyway, that was kind of a bit my first foray into really sort of thinking about that stuff in a big way. So let me go back a little bit to that. 2012, took this one in 2012. Wow, that's cool. So let's go back to grid mode. And yeah, we were playing, it looks like it was like one of the first photos, but you can see here we're kind of zoomed out. This is a zoomed out view more of some of that waterfall. And that picture there is kind of like way zoomed in on like this region under here. So again, this was with 55 millimeters. And this picture here, I'm at 200 millimeters. So really, again, at the limit of my zoom. And yeah, there was just so many structures, and I just love that texture of the roiling and boiling water, and then all the steam and the ice formation. And it was really, really, really a magical place. There's other just beautiful ice structures that get formed, and just all these droplets. And when the light is really coming behind, with the light coming behind, it just forms these really magical structures. So that's the story on this one. Yeah, I just love the texture and the roiling and boiling water and the light. Really, it's the light here that makes the kind of this as a strong point, and then your eye is just welcome to sort of explore all this detail, all this texture here, and then come back through here to the other side and all this texture here. But really, this light, the gradient here of the light and the little sparkles that are just popping up is just, I find that just wonderful and quite magical. So let's go back to the studio giveaway for our last one of the day. This one, and this is a kind of a neat occasion because this is from the Grand Prix Cycliste Montréal, and it's a bike race. It's cool because I watched this video of Steve Bauer, a former Canadian cyclist who won a few stages of the Tour de France, and there was a documentary about him, and one of them was about he participated in one of the World Cup races in Montreal that used to happen. Then there was a hiatus, but then a company brought back that race, and now it's becoming something really big. So I'm obsessed with this church. This is the oratory, St. Joseph's Oratory. So I have this kind of crazy, not crazy, again, I got to stop using that word crazy, but I have this curiosity and this passion and excitement and interest and fascination with views of this church from different locations and alignments of this church with the sun, with the moon, at sunset, at moonrise, sunrise, all of these things. I'm kind of obsessed with it. So I know the good spots, the good locations to take photographs of this church with interesting stuff in the foreground. So this photograph was prepared. I mean, I knew my location, where I wanted to be, and everything. And really, I spent the day, the day of the race, really getting that all lined up. So we'll go into that collection now, and I'll show you exactly how I line that up. So I had a few locations in mind, and here's the first one. Right, there's another location with the cyclists, and this is actually like a funeral parlor here, and then again the church in the background. So this was my first location of the day, and then I walked down the hill to this location. So let me show you where that is on the map. Chemin de la Polytechnique. So this is where we are. Like the cyclists are coming up this road here, but they would be just so small from this location because this is a photograph taken from Google Street View camera, which is on top of a car. So this would not give a good alignment with the church. If you look again at this photo, right, these guys, they look big and tall and fairly close to the church. Like I got them as close as I could make it. So what I had to do really was I'm here actually. I'm lying down in the gutter to get this photograph. Okay, because I walk down here, I'm doing some test runs. I'm really trying to get as low as possible so that I'm looking up towards the riders and getting them looking, as tall, as big as I can, and as close to the church as I can. So if I show you the develop mode, actually, we'll see something interesting. There's the original picture, right? So there's asphalt, and I'm lying down sideways. The camera's vertical. It's very hard to get like a straight line. You don't know which way's up in this case, but let me show you a little bit the sort of the history behind that. So yeah, here I am. Did I work on these ones at all? I don't think so. No, just go back to the raw import. Yeah. So there's the head. That's the head, right? This is the head of the race as they're coming through. And I'm just framing it up and just playing around a little bit and just trying to do my best. This stuff's all been cropped and stuff eventually. So I did all my cropping, and then I kind of compared and looked for the best one, which ended up being where's my top one? What happened? It was this one, right? Sorry, got a bit. Yeah, here we go. Export. The export view. No. Whoopsie. Sorry, I'm not sure what happened. Yeah, this is the one, right? Oh, I'm still in like before view or something like that. Before, after, export, export. Oh, here we go. Yeah, export hard drive. Yeah, there's the export view. So you can see like what I did from this is really crop it in, crop it again, playing with the crop really, getting the angle right, playing with the exposure then, the highlights, boosting up the shadows. It was quite, contrasty, but I love the light on the back of their helmets like that, bringing in some clarity, some detail, cropping again, cropping a bit again, cropping a bit again, and publishing it on Facebook and exporting it on the hard drive. So yeah, again, I'm lying down in the gutter to get this photo. So that's sometimes what it takes, to get really the composition that you want. You got to get low, get low, get low, and zoom in. So listen, thanks so much for tuning in to the stream today. And let's go back and see all of these. Select them all, and whoopsie, no, let's say Control A and There we go. So, yeah, those are some of the beautiful prints that I've had on my wall for quite a few years, and looking forward to sharing the beauty of these with some dear friends, dear lucky friends, and getting some new stuff on the walls, which I'll talk about another time. So, thanks so much for tuning in on the stream, twitch.tv/Michael Johnson TV. Take care, toodaloo, see you next time.